The Game Week 34 deadline is upon us. It's time to make some final decisions. Welcome to FPL Mate. My name is Dan and it's time to lock in my free hit team for Game Week 34. Okay guys, so today, following press conferences and injury news, it's time to wrap up those free hit teams if you are indeed on a free hit. Although if you're not, still might find some useful information in this video. So we are going to be deep diving everything in every position for this game week. So we can really narrow down the best picks for the free hit, because there's a lot of pressure when you are on a chip like this. So this video is divided up into sections. If you want to skip around, absolutely fine with me. That's what these markings are for. So yeah, let's crack on, go through the team news and see what impacts that has on our free hit team. Okay, so let's get cracking with the team news. First of all, Muniz is still out for this game week, but Smith Rowe has trained. Wilson could be used from the bench, but Sessegnon is playing really well. So we've basically seen a situation where Fulham have Wilson available, but because Sessegnon is playing so well, there is a big decision to be made. Is Wilson going to come straight back into the starting 11, or is Sessegnon going to continue to play as he has been starting for the last 3 games? He did, of course, get an early substitution a couple of weeks ago, but apparently, and I didn't know this until the last couple of days, apparently it was actually an error that he was substituted early. It was an administrative error, and actually he was meant to stay on the pitch. So he's been doing super well. So it could be that he continues to start as a right winger despite Wilson now returning to fitness because of that good form. So we'll see what happens there. The good news for Raul Jimenez lovers out there is Muniz is still out. So Raul Jimenez should be nailed on for this game week. Going to Ipswich, they have 9 players unavailable. And actually, it seemed that Ipswich were pretty down on their chances for this game week. And they are going to just try their best to be competitive in this game with so many players unavailable. We do have Davies unavailable because he is suspended. He received a red card against Arsenal last week. We also have Townsend, Phillips and Broadhead unavailable. So that left back position in particular is going to be a problem. It's either going to be a youth player at left back or maybe Greaves at left back. But in general, there is going to be a big weakness there in the Ipswich team, and a weakness overall because so many players are unavailable for this game against Newcastle. Delap apparently is going to be a late decision as well. He is sweating on his availability for ahead of Game Week 34. As for their oppositions, Newcastle, we've got Fabian Schär. Hopefully he's going to be okay. He did have some hamstring tightness last game week, but we imagine he will play again in this game week. Botman is back in training, but it is going to be a little bit too early for him to get a start in the Premier League. We have Arne Slot mentioning that Bradley is almost ready for 90 minutes. Of course, he's been playing around 70 minutes the last couple of game weeks. He's been building up his fitness. But also Slot did mention that he needs more game time for the kind of to step up and be a long-term option at right back for Liverpool. However, Slot did also say that it's going to be difficult for Bradley to get regular game time whilst Trent is available. And we now know, following a substitute appearance last game week, that Trent is available. So is Trent going to come into the starting 11 against Spurs, or is Bradley going to continue to build up his minutes, getting ready to play almost 90 minutes and getting that regular game time that he so desperately needs? There are definitely 2 ways of interpreting these comments from Slot. Some people will say, oh yeah, well, if Trent is available, he is going to play because he's the best right back at the club. Other people will say, well, Bradley is clearly the long-term option here at right back for Liverpool, and Trent has only just come back from injury, so maybe Bradley is going to play, because there's positive comments about Bradley's availability. So I really don't know how to interpret this. I think if I was going for Trent in a free hit team this game week, I would definitely be worried. I wouldn't be 100% convinced that Trent does get the start. I'll say that at least. So it has to be said, Trent, I don't know how you guys are interpreting this, but there is going to be some risk no matter which of these Liverpool right backs you go for. So does that maybe just suggest to us, just leave it? Just leave these guys. It's not worth going for them. Or do you think, okay, maybe Trent, even if he doesn't start, could he get something off the bench as he did in Game Week 33? I'll leave that one to you. We've got Spurs news here as well. Son is still out. Dragusin is out for the season, but everyone else is available. However, Spurs do play a crucial game in the Europa League on Thursday. So therefore, we are expecting rotation for Spurs, who won't be particularly motivated to play in this game, given there is nothing to play for other than if they lose, Liverpool win the Premier League and Arsenal do not. So I don't know. Obviously, these are professional footballers, so they're not going to be throwing the game. But also, for many reasons, this isn't going to be a game where Spurs are expected to turn up and put up a real fight in this game. It's more about the Europa League now for Spurs and trying to get that Champions League place for next season. Van Hecke has been ruled out following his head injury and concussion protocol. So a little bit of I guess, a disappointment for the Brighton defensive prospects there. Joao Pedro is, of course, suspended. Rutter is still out, which should mean that Welbeck is good to start this game and should be on penalties as well as the backup penalty taker behind Joao Pedro. Veltman and Lamptey, however, are back now, are available. So that is a small boost for Brighton there. For West Ham, Wan-Bissaka should be available, but Alvarez is going to be out with his back injury. For Chelsea, Gusto is out, and whilst James and Lavia are available, their minutes are supposedly going to be managed. Now, Tarkowski for Everton, which is Chelsea's opponent, Tarkowski is out for the season, which is interesting because Michael Keane came in at centre-back last week after Tarkowski's injury and didn't exactly put up the best performance. So we're not sure. Is Keane going to be playing at centre-back? Is O'Brien going to be playing at centre-back with a different player, maybe at right-back? Everton are seemingly unsure, judging by the press conference comments. But what we will say is that Everton are probably going to be a little bit weaker at the back this week compared to usual weeks. So if you do fancy going for some Chelsea players this week, it actually could be a little bit better than we previously thought. Broja, of course, is ineligible to face parent club Chelsea. And finally, the other kind of significant piece of injury news here is Jose Sa has been in training all week. So he should be available for this game week following he was obviously withdrawn from the Wolves team last week after in the warm-up he was injured there, but he's been training, so should be good to go. Bellegarde, Hwang and Pedro Lima have also all returned from injury. They've been training all week. These guys are available as well. Of course, Cunha actually came in for the injured Bellegarde last week after Cunha was benched. Cunha came back from suspension, was benched because Bellegarde was set to play. Then Bellegarde got injured. Cunha comes back into the starting 11. What does that mean for the future? Is Hwang going to be kind of available for some minutes as well there? I don't know. Cunha is Wolves' best player. There's no doubt about that. But with question marks over his future and the availability of Bellegarde and Hwang in particular, you do have to wonder whether Cunha could go back to the bench where he was in the first game in which he was available. It's an interesting point, and I don't know how you guys are going to interpret that one, but I'm certainly going to be interpreting it when I build my free hit team for Game Week 34. So let's go through this team. Let's deep dive every single factor. Let's get going, guys. So I've built my free hit team. Somehow it only cost 96 million. Yeah, lots of money in the bank for me, but I'm not feeling any pressure to spend the money. I just want to pick what I believe to be the best team for me personally. So let's first of all have a look at the teams to target. This comes in from Rob T. This is the clean sheet odds I want to focus on first and foremost. And we see that Newcastle have the best chance of a clean sheet, 46% chance there, which is it's going to be even higher if Delap is not available, if Delap does not play there, because he is that primary goal threat for Ipswich. Chelsea come in as the second best chance of a clean sheet with 42%. I know a lot of people are not particularly trusting of Chelsea right now, but they have, in fairness, kept a few clean sheets recently against various teams, and against Everton, a team that famously just are very poor in attack. I do have to wonder whether Chelsea can get a clean sheet in this game. 42% chance is pretty decent here. Wolves also with a 40% chance against a Leicester team that has been struggling to score for the last forever. Although I have to say, Leicester did have a disallowed goal against Liverpool, hit the post against Liverpool, and the previous game against Brighton, they did score twice in that game. So Leicester have been seemingly improving in attack, but the odds are still giving Wolves a really high chance of a clean sheet here. In fourth place, we see Liverpool against Spurs, so it is a more difficult fixture, but obviously Liverpool are a better defence. So they've been given a 38% chance of a clean sheet here, which is actually better than Fulham at 36% against Southampton away from home. Southampton are a team known for scoring frustrating goals for FPL managers, so that does put me off a little bit, a double up on the Fulham defence, considering Fulham are actually fifth on this list, and actually only marginally ahead of the likes of Brighton and Bournemouth, who are each at 34%. Certainly, if you are picking defenders this week, I'll be looking to pick from the top 7 teams from this list, and pretty much ignoring all of the other teams. So no Brentford, no Nottingham Forest. These two teams face each other. We're probably expecting both of these teams to score. So I'm not interested in really anyone below Bournemouth for a free hit team this week in terms of those defensive assets. And really, the more we can focus on the players higher up on this list with the higher clean sheet odds, the better. But I'm also looking for other things as well. So let's get cracking. Let's have a look at the defenders I'm going to be putting on the field. We'll first of all start with Alisson in goal. I'm not convinced enough by Trent. And for me personally, I want to take some risks, and I think we're all going to be taking some kind of risks one way or another. But because my rank is just so bad, the season is basically over for me. I'm just going to play a very, very aggressive, high risk, high reward kind of game. And I think Alisson helps me in taking a bet against Trent. I want the Liverpool cover, not really convinced by Van Dijk, but I want Alisson, who can make saves in this game. And I'm thinking, if Spurs are kind of, I don't want to say half-hearted in this game, but if they're taking half-hearted shots, that's going to be more saves for Alisson. Obviously, Spurs will take a lot of shots in any game they play. They're a very attacking team. We saw against Nottingham Forest last game week taking plenty of shots, poor finishing a lot of the time. And of course, with no Son, there is no clinical finisher there at the club. And Sels was able to rack up some save points there. And we do often see that any team that faces Spurs will naturally rack up save points. We do see Alisson as well specialise really against some of the better attacks in the league. So he will be able to pick up save points there, and Liverpool will concede chances. So I wonder if I don't want to go for Trent, I'm not 100% convinced on Van Dijk. I think there are better attacking defenders than Van Dijk for this game week. Then Alisson is probably the solution for me if I do want to cover that Liverpool defence, and I do. And I will be taking a chance on Trent being on the bench for this week. Trent, of course, could play. I'm not saying that he won't. I think it's probably more likely that Trent plays than Bradley, or at least starts the game. But there's a significant enough chance that I think it is worth taking a risk if you are like me and you just want to go a little bit crazy at this time of the season, try and claim some positions in your mini leagues, or make a last-ditch effort for a better rank or something like that. In defence, we've got the trio of Cucurella, Aït-Nouri, and Sessegnon, and I'm happy with all of these. Cucurella, we mentioned, has really good clean sheet chances, and I want to focus in on Cucurella in particular first of all, because obviously there are some people who are saying, yeah, this is a goal scoring defender. Other people saying, well, he hasn't actually scored that many goals, only 4 goals this season. 2 of them were recent games against, what was it, Southampton and Leicester. Is Cucurella really that good in attack? And my answer is yes. So looking through this, guys, you can see that in all competitions this season, he's got 4 goals in the Premier League, 2 goals in the Conference League, 2 assists in the Premier League, 1 assist in the Conference League, 1 assist in the FA Cup. So this is pretty decent attacking returns. We're looking at 1 attacking return every 4 games. That's quite nice. And obviously that is going to be favoured in the easier fixtures, of which I believe this game week against Everton will be an easier fixture, particularly now that Tarkowski is out. So we've got a higher chance of attacking returns in this game. But here is the other factor. Marc Cucurella has had a couple of goals disallowed recently. So whilst people will say, oh, he doesn't actually score that much, he's had 2 marginally disallowed goals in the last couple of weeks. I believe one was against Spurs a couple of weeks ago, and also in the Conference League against Legia. He also had a goal disallowed there. He would have scored a brace in that game if that goal had counted. So I do truly believe that he is still a goal-scoring defender, and that is in addition to the pretty decent attacking return rate that we have seen all season from him. So I'm going to be taking a chance on Marc Cucurella. I think he's a really nice pick. I think people will be doubtful because people just don't like Chelsea in the FPL world right now. But I'm pretty happy with this pick. Probably not a player I would want long term, but we're a free hit. Why not take a chance there? The other players I think are much more obvious, and particularly if we're looking at the underlying stats. So what I've got here in front of you next, guys, is all of the defenders in the world of the Premier League over the period since the international break. So that's game week 30 to now, and we've looked per 90 what their expected goal involvements are, and we've ordered them by that metric. And you can see that Ait-Nouri and Sessegnon are only joined by Richards and Dorgu for 0.5 expected goal involvements per 90. So these are players with very, very high expected goal involvements per 90. This is really high. This is kind of I guess rates you would expect from a lot of strikers, from a lot of attackers, from a lot of wingers. You would see them at around 0.5 expected goal involvements per game. And given that both of these players have really nice fixtures as well, against Leicester, against Southampton, you're going to expect that you're going to see the higher end of the expected goal involvements in this particular game week. So both of these look really, really nice. Two super attacking defenders with decent chances of clean sheets as well. So I really like the look of both of these. Sessegnon in particular, actually, I do like because of the tactical matchup up against Southampton. They concede a whole bunch of chances from right wingers. Their left side is super weak. Sessegnon is going to be the latest right winger to attack that Southampton side. There is some risk about Wilson coming back into the Fulham starting 11, but I'm not too worried. Sessegnon has probably been one of Fulham's best players recently. Fulham still have a lot to play for. You know, they've still got a really good chance of European football this season. It's likely to be the Conference League. There's a chance of Europa League as well, depending on other things, basically. 8th place could get Europa League this season as well, depending on various factors. So it is still a really important game for Fulham to be putting out their strongest starting 11, and that involves Sessegnon right now, and he is the perfect tactical matchup on that right wing. And you know what? Even if he doesn't play the right wing, who's to say he can't play on the left wing? Maybe Iwobi drops out of the starting 11. We've seen Iwobi benched, I believe, twice in the past 7 game weeks. So it's not unheard of for Iwobi to not start either. So for that reason, Sessegnon for me is going to be in this team, and he carries some risk. He is a differential, but he's a really, really exciting pick for this week at 3.5% ownership. I really, really like the look of that. So let's move on into midfield next, and I think we'll start off by having a look at the midfielders. So what we've got here is, again, per 90 since game week 30, of all of the midfielders who are actually playing this game week. So if any player who doesn't have a fixture in game week 34, I have removed from this data set in this instance. And we can kind of have a look at who has the best expected goal involvements per 90 out of the players playing this week. We see Tell at the top, not nailed for minutes and plays against Liverpool. Probably damages him just a little bit. So we can move past him and look at Jacob Murphy, who's at 0.8 expected goal involvements per 90 since the international break between game week 29 and game week 30. Really, really nice there. And I was actually looking at some things today on the tactical matchups, and against Ipswich, this is really nice. We mentioned that there's not going to be really any fit available left backs for Ipswich this week. So Murphy on the right of Newcastle's attack against the left side of Ipswich, where there is no natural left back there. And also, we've seen that this is actually a position where actually Ipswich concede a lot of chances from this position anyway. So whilst, yes, Barnes is scoring more FPL points right now, if we look at this from a tactical perspective, as a matchup perspective, maybe this actually genuinely does favour Murphy a little bit more than Barnes. They're both really nice players, but Murphy's been putting up the better numbers per 90. Compared to Barnes, who is still on this list, by the way, guys. 0.7 expected goals per 90 for Barnes, who has been outscoring Murphy maybe over a 6-game week. But since the international break, Murphy per 90 is doing better. The question is, will Murphy make it to 90 minutes? And for me, the answer is probably no. So let's talk about Murphy versus Barnes right now. And I've been speaking to some Newcastle fans to try and get my head around this one. So basically, we have, of course, Gordon looming. He's been coming off the bench recently. Is Gordon going to get some game time? We don't know. If Gordon does start, and it's, by the way, it's far more likely that Barnes and Murphy both start and Gordon starts from the bench. These games are very important for Newcastle, and Barnes and Murphy have been in great form. But if Gordon does somehow start in this game against Ipswich, if Gordon starts, he will be playing on the left-hand side, which means it'll be Gordon on the left and Murphy on the right. So Barnes is more at risk of not starting against Ipswich. However, if Barnes and Murphy start, which is the more likely scenario, Murphy will be the player who is more likely to be subbed off early for Gordon. And that's exactly what we've seen in the last few game weeks. Murphy has been getting those early subs and Gordon has been coming on for him. So it's really, really difficult to say. Barnes versus Murphy. Murphy looks better from a tactical matchup. Barnes has been, in general playing just that tiny bit better, looks like in slightly better form, particularly from a goal scoring perspective. He looks better for minutes if he does start. It's so tough, isn't it? So in many ways, it might be best to just take both of them. Seriously. Let's look at some of these other midfielders here. And Burmo is really high on this list as well. He is, of course, going to play against Nottingham Forest later on in the week. So we're going to have to wait a little bit for him. But yeah, really good numbers here. Again, 0.8 XGI per 90. We see Luis Diaz and Mo Salah both at 0.7. So these guys are really high as well. Barnes after that. And after that, we've got a whole bunch of different players. A real mixed bag here. But what is interesting is we actually see players like Bowen, Iwobi and Palmer, who I've seen in a lot of free hit teams, actually a little bit lower down on this list, actually. So maybe we can just pick from some of these top players. Murphy and Burmo, Luis Diaz, Salah, Barnes, maybe even Bruno Fernandes this week as well. I think are all going to be definite big options for this week. So I'm going to back the data. I'm going to continue playing the data game. Things have to work out eventually and average out eventually, right? And all of these players have been in good form, bar Salah. I don't think Salah's been in great form, but it's going to be difficult to leave him out. So let's have a look at this midfield next, guys. Salah, Luis Diaz, the Liverpool double up, and Barnes and Murphy, the Newcastle double up. Yes, we are going all in on two teams, two pairs of two for this blank game week in our free hit team. Home games all around, absolutely beautiful stuff. And I really, really like the look of this midfield now. I think I have everything covered. I've got what I consider three of the four form midfielders. So we've got Luis Diaz, Barnes, Murphy. I would also include Burmo as another very much in form midfielder. And we've got Salah, who is hopefully just going to cover my season from getting completely destroyed because so many people will own Salah. So many people will be captaining him. He is going to be at a record ownership this game week in terms of like how many people have him in their team and how many people are captaining him as well. It's going to be absolutely wild for Salah this week with so many other big teams not playing this week. So that's the midfield sorted. Let's go up front. Let's go into the striker position now. And this is where we're at in terms of the data. So again, we're looking at per 90 since the international break. So game week 30 onwards, who's putting up the best expected goal involvements numbers? And it is two players at the top here, Evanilson and Strand Larsen. Evanilson playing against Manchester United and Strand Larsen with a very favourable home fixture against Leicester. And again, I was looking at the tactical matchups. And what is interesting is that Leicester concede an unholy amount of goals from very central areas. So they have a clear central weakness. The striker is always a good shout against Leicester. And who is the striker for Wolverhampton Wanderers? None other than Strand Larsen, who is going to be nailed for minutes, unlike Cunha, who's more likely 90%, maybe 80%. I don't know, guys. What would you put on Cunha's chances of starting? Certainly not as high as Strand Larsen. So Strand Larsen looks like a really good pick this week because the fixture is good and the data is good and the form is good generally as well. Evanilson, the data is good. The fixture maybe not quite as nice against Manchester United compared to the Leicester fixture. It's scary that we're even making that comparison, to be honest, but that's where we're at right now. And therefore, Strand Larsen maybe slightly better form. Do we trust him more than Evanilson? I think we do. After that, Cunha. Small data size here, only played 109 minutes. So this is a much smaller data set here, but it has to be said, Cunha is a brilliant football player. The assist that he got last week, it should be noted that it was because he was fouled for the free kick that Sarabia went on to score. So it wasn't an assist, but he did score in the previous game week as well. So I think that is worth noting. And Die against Chelsea, we're probably not looking at, but Isak here against Ipswich at home could be really, really nice. If, again, Ipswich are missing players, that is going to be advantage to any Newcastle attacker. So going full throttle there is a good idea, I think. Delap is here. We're not sure about his injury status. Wissa, I think, is genuinely a really nice option against Forest, who, again, another team who do concede goals more centrally, generally. Though they do concede less goals as well. But Wissa could be a nice option there. After that, Welbeck has always been reliable whenever he has been starting. It's just always been a case of how many minutes will Welbeck get. But in this game week, with no Joao Pedro, with no Rutter, this looks really, really good for Welbeck's minutes. Of course, even like the likes of Ferguson is not even at Brighton anymore, on loan, of course. So for that reason, it's a really good time to have Welbeck on penalties as well there. So I like the look of him. And then we drop down the list a little bit more. Could you take a punt on Jackson or Fulkrog? Maybe. Gakpo's in here. Chris Wood a little bit lower. Smaller data sample size as well. Wood has never been putting up good underlying numbers though all season. But he has still been scoring goals, so maybe you can consider him. But he is lower down on this list. But I think the other player I think is worth talking about is Raul Jimenez. Because obviously, against Southampton, people will be saying, yeah, you've got to go for some kind of Fulham attackers here, right? Surely. Raul Jimenez seems obvious with Muniz now confirmed out. But what really concerns me is that since the international break, he is putting up just 0.1 expected goal involvements per 90. In fact, if you look at the XG, it's 0.03 expected goals per 90. So this is crazy low. These are crazy low numbers. He is not even taking one shot every 90 minutes. He's taking 0.43 shots on target every 90 minutes. This is a little concerning because Jimenez has just not been in form recently. And of course, you can counter all of that by saying, yeah, but Dan, it's a game against Southampton. Like, come on, let's be honest here. It's a great fixture, right? I definitely agree with you there. My concern is that if it was just Raul Jimenez against Southampton, that was the great opportunity. That was the big targetable fixture this week. Then I'd be all over Raul. I can't lie. However, we also see the inform strikers like Strand Larsen and Cunha also with a great home fixture against Leicester. We see Isak and the Newcastle guys with a great home fixture against Ipswich. We see some other players like Welbeck, great home fixture against West Ham. So we kind of go through all of these players, even Chris Wood, like people love him. But it's kind of difficult to justify Raul Jimenez because even though he has the great fixture, there are genuinely so many other players with not just the great fixtures, but the great form to go alongside it as well. So that does worry me about Raul Jimenez. And the other thing that worries me about Raul Jimenez is simply that Fulham score goals from so many different areas. You don't know where it's going to come from. You don't know who is going to get the attacking return. Is it going to be Sessegnon? Is it going to be Iwobi? Is it going to be Raul? Is it going to be Smith Rowe? Is it going to be Andreas Pereira? Is it going to be Wilson? We could go on and on and on. It seems like that Fulham are just one of those teams that just have this huge spread of attacking returns from all kinds of different players. So even if you do think, okay, Fulham are going to beat Southampton 3-0, who knows who's going to haul? It could be anyone. And you could take a chance and say, okay, this week, I think it's going to be Raul Jimenez. But it might not be. Could be someone else. And you don't know. So, yeah, do you take a roll on the dice with a Raul? Or do you look for a player who is more central to what their team is doing with an equally good fixture and also in good form? I think I would probably go for the latter personally. So that's what I'm looking to do. Now, that said, when we look at the projected goal scorers for this game week, we do see Raul Jimenez in third. 0.69 projected goals against Southampton, which is quite crazy. Salah is also on here in Isak in the top two positions. No doubt there'll be big captain shouts for this week. We see Welbeck in fourth, which is interesting. And all of these stats are, of course, assuming that the player starts. So these are the top players. And we go all the way to the 40th position here. Although it should be noted, actually, guys, that there are a few players missing from this. We should see Barnes on here, who would be at 0.39 projected goals this week, which is pretty high. So that will be the second highest among Newcastle attackers, presuming a start, of course. We have no Forest and Brentford numbers yet because they don't play until Thursday, but Wood should be around 5 to 0.55, and Burmo should be at 0.3 to 0.35, and Wissa 0.3 to 0.35 as well. So, and Burmo and Wissa kind of a similar kind of numbers there. So you can kind of get an idea of what might look good. Now, final point on forwards and on attackers before we throw some players on the field is it's basically Cunha. I think we need to just look at Cunha for a second because I am a little worried about his minutes. I think he does start. I think I would say that probably let's say 80% chance that he does start. But I was looking through Twitter. I was looking through the Wolves fans' opinions, and it is exclusively people saying that Cunha shouldn't start. It is, fans, showing stats of how actually Wolves have a better win rate when Cunha is not in the team, how they've been doing absolutely fine. They've been in great form whilst Cunha has been suspended, how Cunha is, obviously seemingly halfway out the door already. Wolves have nothing to play for in the Premier League. They're not going to get relegated. They're not going to get European football. So why not just prepare for the new season and play the players that are available, like Bellegarde, for example, like Hwang Hee-chan. So there is so much seemingly pushback against Cunha starting. Now, obviously, that makes no difference to the manager. The manager's going to do their job. But is the job of the manager to say, look, we've got Bellegarde available now. We don't need Cunha. Cunha's off anyway. We need to prepare for the future. We've got nothing to play for. Do we just put Cunha on the bench? More than likely, that's not going to happen. And Cunha is going to start. He's going to produce some magic, and he's going to do brilliantly. And of course, he's going to get the bonus points because that's what he does. However, if you are risky and you want to play against the crowd, because if you go against Cunha, if you go without Cunha, you are going to be going massively against the crowd here. I've been doing a lot of polls. I've been doing a lot of data intake. Cunha is going to be in 90+% of free hit teams this week. Cunha is the most transferred in player ahead of this game week. Let me just check the exact numbers at time of recording of just how many people have transferred in Cunha, but it is something crazy. So we see 472,000 transfers in. So almost 500,000. It'll be well above 500,000 transfers in by the time we hit deadline. If you go against Cunha, you are taking a huge risk, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone who is happy and secure in their ranks, in their position, in their mini leagues right now. However, that's not me, guys. That is not me. So this is what I've got for my front three forwards. We've got Isak, of course. Of course, we have to have Isak in this team. Triple Newcastle attack. We've got Danny Welbeck against West Ham United. I think this is another really nice opportunity. Projections look good. Penalties, and West Ham, I think, have actually been pretty poor defensively over the last few weeks. And finally, Strand Larsen. We are backing Strand Larsen against Cunha. And of course, Cunha is scary right now to go against. But Strand Larsen is more nailed on. His underlying data is better. And although he doesn't have the same magic of Cunha, doesn't have the same bonus points potential as Cunha, I think if you are looking to take a big risk this week, and we're talking a very big risk here, by the way, guys, Strand Larsen ahead of Cunha could be that risk to take. So that is what I'm going to be doing. I can't stress this enough. If you are not willing to take a risk, if you are happy with your rank, do not bet against Cunha. Do not do it. I'm in a unique scenario. I'm in my own scenario, and I've got to play what I think is in front of me. And this is the team that I've come up with. On the bench, not that it matters. We've got Leno and Burmo, Robinson and Kerkez. I don't know who I'm going to captain yet. The vice captain is going to be on Salah, and I'm going to captain one of Barnes or Murphy. I haven't decided yet. But I want to take a big risk here. If you want to play it safe, Salah is definitely the captain for you. If you want to go differential, maybe Isak. Maybe Isak even is the captain for me this game week. Not 100% sure, but we'll have to wait and see. I think it's going to be Salah vice captain. It'll be a Newcastle attacker for for me for my captain. I don't think I really want to go anywhere else with the captain's armband this week. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. All in on the Newcastle attack against this weakened Ipswich side, and I'm really hoping for the best here. So that is my team. That is my free hit team. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if it is too crazy in any positions. But really, honestly, I think we've got a good combination of template players, stats-backed players, players with good projections, and also taking some chances of certain players being in/out of their team's respective starting 11s. I think we've got a good balance here. And honestly, I can say that there is logic, there is reasoning and strong reasoning behind every single player on the pitch, every single player in my team, which is exactly what I want from a free hit team. And I want to just throw in players just because I think they might be good. I want to think of a secure and confident reason why they're going to be good, specifically for this game week, because that is what free hit is for. So let's see how I do, guys. Yeah, fingers crossed, hoping for the best, but who knows at this point. But yeah, let me know, guys, if you've got any other final questions as well, any final decisions you guys need to make. Let me know in the comments section. I'm super good at replying to comments, so yeah, hopefully we can help you guys out a little bit more there. But if you enjoyed this one, drop a like, do subscribe, feel free to check out another video. We've got plenty of Game Week 34 videos on the channel, particularly for free hitters, wildcarders, even those making transfers. We got you covered this week, so yeah, take care. I'll see you tomorrow for a deadline stream, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.